Okay, so we saw circuit topology of DC to DC buck boost converter, right? The buck boost converter that we saw in some of the previous lectures gave an output which is inverted, right? So the polarity of the output was negative with respect to the polarity of input, right? So which might not be which might limit its usage for some of the applications where the output polarity also is supposed to be in the same direction, right? So now what we'll do is we'll see another circuit here wherein the output polarity is the same as the input voltage polarity. So and we want a buck boost operation. So the thought process is very simple. So we do have a buck converter, right? We do have a buck converter which looks like this, right? And we do have a boost converter which looks like this, right? Now in these two so we understand that buck also polarity remains the same, boost also polarity remains the same, right? So the only thing that uh, uh, that happens is that one guy can only buck, the other guy can only boost. But what if we just connect the input of one of them to the output of the second one, right? If we just connect them, so then it will become a cascaded circuit, and which can do both buck and boost, because one person can do buck, the other can do boost. So you can adjust the duty cycle of both of them individually to do both buck and boost, right? That is the basic idea. With that, if we continue, then we can redraw the circuit as this. So I'm just connecting the input and the output of these two converters. So if you see, this is V in, this was some intermediate, and this is our final VO, right? Across which you would have your load resistance RL. Now here, if you see, so this is a buck boost converter, right? This is a buck boost converter. We can further simplify it. If you see this region, right, this essentially an LCL filter, right? This is a third order filter, right? Because there are three energy storage elements. Obviously this filter would have better performance, but we can certainly replace this filter by just an L filter, and thereby reduce the number of components in this circuit. So we can, let me redraw with right. Further, I can just draw the same circuit, looking a little bit different. It's the same circuit. Right? This is your non-inverting buck boost converter. Right? This is your non-inverting buck boost converter. There are multiple ways of operating it. Let's call these switches as S1, S2, S3, S4, right? So one of the mode of operation is, which is the buck boost mode, and that is you first turn on S1 and right and S2. So you can turn on S1 and S2 are on, right, and S3 and S4 are off, right. You do this for a period of dts, and then you invert. So essentially S1 and S2 become off, and S3 and S4 become on. You did this for 1 minus dts. How it looks like? First, when you have S1, S2 on, then essentially the circuit looks something like this. You have the input voltage, S1 is on, there's an inductor, then S2 is on, right? And output is just providing power to the load. So in this case, the inductor current rises because of the input voltage. Now in the second case, when S1 and S2 are off, but S3, S4 are on, in that case, the energy that is stored in the inductor goes to the output capacitor, right? So therefore, in this case, the energy goes to the output capacitor and in this direction, right? And therefore, if you see, it's very similar to the buck boost operation, right? Buck boost also, normal buck boost also, same thing was happening. In one stage, energy was storing to inductor only from the input. There was output was disconnected from the inductor. Second case, inductor was connected to the output and input was disconnected to the inductor. So same thing, you can apply volt second balance. And what you would get is VO is equal to D upon 1 minus D times V in. So this you would get it as a buck boost converter, right? Now you can, this is circuit operating as buck boost. Let's say if you want to operate it only as buck for certain region, that also you can do, same circuit, right? So how you can do that? Let's say this is buck boost mode. This is, let me call it as 1. Let's say you want to now operate only as buck mode, right? You don't want to operate it in buck boost mode. Buck mode, what you can do is you can first turn on S1 and S4, right? And obviously S2 is complementary to S4 and S3 is complementary to S1. Why is that? Because both of them cannot turn on, otherwise it will short circuit either input or output, right? So if you turn on S1 S3 together, it will create a short circuit. So I'm not writing the state of S2 and S3, but that is explicit that if S1 and S4 are on, those two must be off. So first you turn on S1 and S4. What is the equivalent circuit? If you see, input voltage, inductor, output voltage, right? And then you turn on S3 and S4, right? Then what will be the equivalent circuit? It will be just the inductor and output voltage. Again, you do this for dts, you do this for 1 minus dts period. And if you apply volt second balance to this one, what will you get? V0 is equal to D times ds. So the same circuit you can operate it in buck mode also, right? And you can also operate it in just boost mode, which is also a possibility. I would not explicitly state that. I would suggest you can just have a give it a thought and see how should be the switching combinations if you only want to operate it in boost mode, right? If you only want to operate it in boost mode. All right, now once we understand that this is the circuit which can do which can operate in all of the three modes, how do we do switch realization, right? So you can do switch realization for this circuit. You can have a look at section 7.1, which is on switch realization, if you have not looked at it till now, right? And using that basic principle, you can do the switch realization for this particular circuit. I will not go into the steps of how would you do that, but let me just quickly draw. So this thing I would leave it to you guys to solve, and let me now do switch realization of this circuit. I would draw the answer. You can use the steps in section 7.1. Right, so if you see, there is an input voltage, output voltage, MOSFET 1, MOSFET 2, diode 3, diode 4, right? So you require 2 MOSFETs and 2 diode to realize this above circuit. So yeah, I mean, as compared to normal buck or boost or buck boost, where you were only needed one switch and a diode, here you are using 2 switches and 2 diodes, so therefore you have more degree of freedom, right? And which justifies that we can operate this converter in all the 3 possible modes, and it gives a non-inverting output, right? So it's justified because you have more devices, you have more degree of freedom to turn on and off those devices, and therefore you do have more modes of operation of this particular circuit. Okay, now next thing is that how do you, let's say if you, as of now in this thing, is this circuit is operating, so how is the power flowing? So obviously your inductor current is flowing in this direction, right? Sometimes your current flows in this direction, it flows in this direction. So therefore, if you see, the direction of power flow is from left to right, because you have a source here. This is your source and this is your load. Now in certain scenario, what happens is you might want power to flow back from the load to source. I'll give you some example. Let's say you have a battery, right? And you have an inverter. So in that case, sometimes you would like the battery to be charged from the grid or from the AC supply. And sometime when the AC supply goes off, you might want battery to be discharged and power to flow in the reverse direction in the circuit. So some of the examples of, I should say not reverse, but bidirectional power flow. Some of the examples are, let's say, UPS or inverter with battery storage, right? It could also be let's say a motor drive system, right? Sometimes you want to power the motor. Sometimes if you are braking, you want to do a regenerative braking, so power would flow back from the converters, right? Or it could be any other storage integration also. For example, let's say you want to store high energy in terms of hydro energy on a tank which is mounted on roof or something, right? So other storage, because it will first store the energy, so power would flow in one direction, then the energy it would supply back, so the power would flow in another direction, right? So there are other storages also. If you try to integrate them, you might need the capability of bidirectional power flow. So the requirement of bidirectional power flow does exist, right? And therefore in general we would like at some point our circuits to have that capability. Now let's start with instead of directly looking at this circuit capable of operating in bidirectional power flow, let's start with the basic DC to DC buck converter, and see if that converter can operate in the bidirectional, can operate as a bidirectional power converter, right? So this is your, so I would draw the actual switch realized version of the buck converter. I'm showing sources on both sides, so you can think of it as two batteries, battery V in, battery VO, so that when you are drawing power from the output, you can still, your source is capable of supplying power, right? Now in this buck converter, if you see, the inductor current, right, reference direction is from left to right, but then can the inductor current reverse its direction? Let's see if the inductor current, what happens if the inductor current reverses its direction, if the inductor current starts flowing here. Obviously it can flow through this diode, but it cannot flow through this diode because it's in the reverse direction, right? So it cannot do power converter kind of operation. What maximum can happen is, if you can make VO greater than Vin, it will just conduct through inductor and diode, that's it. You cannot do switching converter, you cannot realize the switching converter operation. So what usually people do is that this circuit, instead of using this circuit, people go for this kind of circuit, wherein you use two MOSFETs instead of using a single MOSFET. And now you have an input voltage, you have an output voltage, right? Now if you want to make sure that the current flows in this direction, then you can use the MOSFET 2 and diode of 1, right? So what happens is, you can use M2 and D1 for reverse power flow. How does it work? When you turn on M2, then the current would flow through M2, and when you turn off M2, current would flow through the diode. So in fact, if you look at from the output to input side, it would feel like a boost converter. When you are closing M2, output is charging the inductor. When you are opening M2, the inductor is getting discharged in the input, still output is connected, right? So it would, from, if you look at from this point of view, it would look like a boost converter, right? And therefore you can write that Vin is equal to VO upon 1 minus duty cycle of M2, right? What is duty cycle of M2? Duty cycle of M2 is 1 minus duty cycle of D1, right? Which is the duty cycle of M1 also. And therefore Vn is equal to VO upon 1 minus 1 plus D of D1, and therefore Vin into D of D1 is equal to VO. You see, this same expression is valid. So duty cycle of switch, duty cycle of this switch, if you consider this as D, then output voltage is equal to D times Vn, irrespective of whether power is flowing from left to right or power is flowing from right to left, right? Output voltage and the input voltage have the same relationship, irrespective of the direction of power flow. Okay, now, so therefore you see that by adding one more switch, we were able to add bidirectional power flow capability to buck converter. Similar thing can be done for boost, similar thing can be done for buck boost, similar thing can be done for non-inverting buck boost also, right? In boost you then require two MOSFETs, in buck boost you require two MOSFETs, in bidirectional, in non-inverting buck boost you might require 4 MOSFETs, right? So one thing I would suggest is, you can go back, you can try to draw those circuits, see how many MOSFETs you would require to do a bidirectional power flow in that specific circuit. So this particular circuit which we have drawn here, it also has a specific name. It's called as synchronous buck converter, right? It's also called as synchronous buck converter. Right, now once you have MOSFET here, there are two options, right? For example, if you are doing a forward power, if your power is flowing in the forward direction, that means you can only use M1 and D2, right? You don't have to turn on M2 if you're only doing forward power. But then a lot of times you would see that in applications where you require high efficiency, people do turn on M2, right? So instead of D2, people turn on M2. Then what happens is that the channel gets created in the MOSFET, and instead of current flowing through the body diode D2, the current flows through the channel of M2. Now what happens is the channel of M2 offers less resistance than the body diode of MOSFET, and therefore this would ensure less conduction losses in switch, right? So this is one of the reason why, even though sometimes you don't need bidirectional power flow capability. I'll give you an example. Microprocessors, right? So in your computers, there's the final chip which is doing all the processing, right? Your Pentium chip or Intel chip or AMD chip, right? To power it, you sometimes use these synchronous buck converters instead of using regular buck converters, because in regular buck converters the diode would have significant loss T2, but if you use synchronous buck converter, then you can turn on M2, and because of turning on M2, the current would flow through M2 instead of flowing through diode D2, and the on state resistance is less, so the losses are less. So microprocessor power supplies, if you see, most of them uses synchronous buck converter. They go a step ahead and they use something called as interleaved buck converter, but that part maybe we would have a look at it sometime later, not in this course. Right, so that's it. So the doing these kind of things can give your circuit bidirectional power flowing capability, and can also help reducing losses if you are using MOSFETs, because MOSFET channel once created, it can allow current to flow in either directions, right?